on today's show.
LeBron questions the Lakers' sense of urgency, the Rockets stay perfect against the Dubs, and the Knicks win an Oscar.
Live from New Orleans, Jared Greenberg gives us the lowdown on Anthony Davis and how the Sixers are faring since acquiring Tobias Harris.
And we holla at Ja Rule in a brand new batch of Weekend Whoopsies.
It's Monday, February 25th. The Starter starts now.
Good evening, Sweet World, and welcome to The Starters, presented by Jack Daniel's Old No. 7 and Tennessee Honey. I'm J.E. Skeets, alongside me as always, Tass Mellis. We got the Aussie Lee Ellis, and over yonder, that's the bearded one. That's Trey Kirby.
Hey-yo!
Hey-yo! Trey, what's up on a Monday?
Well, I'm here at the internet looking for your best tweets at hashtag The Starters. And guys, today is Ric Flair's 70th birthday. He'll be celebrated on Monday Night Raw a little bit later tonight, but when we were in Charlotte for All-Star, we asked a whole bunch of NBA players for their best Nature Boy woos. And the results were woo to full. Take a look. Ric Flair is a legend here in Charlotte. Can you hit me with a woo?
Woo! You mind giving us a woo?
Woo! Woo!
A woo?
Woo! 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 Woo!
I don't want to do it the mic real loud, so I ain't gonna do it loud.
Woo!
There we go.
Woo!
It's the best one yet, my man.
I love wrestling.
Can you hit me with a Ric Flair woo?
It's early in the morning and my voice being gone from yesterday. I don't think I have the Ric Flair woo in me.
Too early to woo. Everybody loves a good woo, but Ric Flair was a legendary heel, which brings us to today's question. Who is the biggest heel in the NBA? Maybe it's Anthony Davis, maybe it's Joel Embiid, maybe it's somebody else. Whoever you think, though, tweet it to us at hashtag The Starters. We'll see your best answers a little bit later.
All right, get your tweets in. On tonight's show, we're going to talk to Jared Greenberg, live from New Orleans. We got new Weekend Whoopsies. We got a very solid play, but we start with a little Is This News? Trey has rounded up some of today's NBA headlines. He's going to pitch them to us like he's Mark Eichhorn, and we'll determine whether or not they're actually newsworthy. Trey.
All right, our first headline is from ESPN. LeBron James questioned the Lakers' experience and sense of urgency. Is this news?
This is news because I think he's understanding that they've dug themselves too big a hole to make the postseason. I think he realizes that they're not good enough. You play the Pelicans on the second night of back-to-back with no Anthony Davis, and you get killed in the first quarter, allowing 42 points, and you get blown out of the building. Mm-hmm. The rest of the way, you've got a real tough schedule. That was a cherry. That game should have been an easy one to win. It's going to be really tough for them to overcome that three-game deficit that they have. He understands.
Well, that's not giving any credit, though, to the Pelicans, because they came out of the blocks and they were focused and they were determined. They outworked the Lakers. They out-hustled them. Jrue Holiday was fantastic. And to me, a lot of these Pelicans players, I think, were trying to send a message to the Lakers to say, you've kind of been disrespecting us and our franchise for the last couple of weeks. Well, we're going to actually show you what it means to us. And they went out and they just played hard. And LeBron had statistically, he had a fine game and the Lakers were okay. But I just feel the Pelicans really wanted this game to sort of just show the Lakers, you're not going to treat us like that. And they were fantastic. So many players. Julius Randle was good. And the Pelicans just outworked them and deserved that game.
Yeah, LeBron had a lot to say after this loss. He really did. And he was questioning the Lakers, especially the young guys, like their mental makeup, right? To get this done. Here's a small part of what he said. How many know what's at stake if you've never been there before? The last few years, everyone's so accustomed to the losses that I'm just not accustomed to. I would never get comfortable with losing. I mean, he's saying, I don't do this. You guys have done this here for a couple of years now, but I'm not used to this. Let's go. But the funny part about that was, some of the young guys in this game against Pelicans, Kuzma, Ingram, they played all right. Now, defensively is a whole other question, and nobody's playing great defense on this team, but they were all right offensively. It was some of the older guys that actually struggled, some of the vets that weren't giving them anything. But LeBron, he's grasping at straws here. Now, I do agree with that. We said last week, Tass, when we were looking at the Lakers' schedule, you can't just say, well, that's a gimme win, because they've dropped these games against teams that they're much better than or should be better than time after time after time this season. They take one step forward and then take two steps back, and they keep doing it, and that loss to the Pelicans was just another perfect example.
He joined a team, though, with young players who hadn't been to the playoffs.
Yeah.
So, of course, they're inexperienced. Of course, they don't know what it takes. He was supposed to lead them that way. And, he obviously missed a huge chunk of time. They were over 500 when he went down, and they fell apart when he wasn't there. And now they're facing that uphill battle. But, of course, these guys haven't been there. So the only way you figure out how to win is when you get there and you get that experience. But you can't get that until you've been into the playoffs, and these young guys haven't been there. So I'm not sure how you can
Navigate.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, these guys just have to go through these tough losses.
They should just be in the Eastern Conference because then they'd make the postseason. I don't see them making it in the Western Conference. With the way that they're playing right now, especially defensively, they need Lonzo Ball back. I don't really understand.
And
Rajon
LeBron
Rondo.
talked about that.
Yeah.
LeBron did talk about Lonzo missing him defensively at least because they've been the 4th worst defensive team since Lonzo went out of the lineup, back in sort of mid to late January.
Yeah, I don't really understand. LeBron is basically their point guard right now because Rajon Rondo is coming off the bench.
Yeah.
He's got to do so much. LeBron's not to make an excuse for him, and he does take plays off, but he's got to be the 1. He's got to be the 5 at times. He's got to do a lot. I think Rajon Rondo should be starting at this point because we're not going to see Lonzo Ball for several weeks now.
Mm-hmm.
This is just a weird NBA. There are a lot of NBA fans out there that have only seen playoffs with LeBron James in them.
Yeah.
And he's been there. He hasn't missed one since 2005. If he was playing in the East, sure, but in the West, I don't see them making.
I mean, the Lakers are lucky. They're 3 games back of the 8th seed, and this weekend, the Clippers got crushed by the Nuggets on Sunday. You had the Spurs continuing to struggle on their rodeo road trip. The Kings, nice win against the Thunder, but that very, very big win. But some of those teams are still faltering there, so the Lakers are still within reaching distance or a close distance. But
And they got 2 games against the Clippers for the rest
Huge.
of the season, which are big. Yeah.
All right, next one, Trey.
Next headline is from Bleacher Report. It reads, Chris Paul was electric as the Rockets beat Kevin Durant and the Warriors without James Harden. Is this news?
This is big news, really, for the Rockets to do this without James Harden.
Okay, why? Why? But
Because
the Warriors don't really
they
care.
were like 12-point underdogs going into that game.
Yeah.
And I think the Warriors went into this game thinking, no James Harden, okay, we're going to smoke them here. But Chris Paul showed that when he is healthy, the kind of player he still is, because we've questioned whether or not this season he has still got that gear that he went into on Saturday night, but he took control of that game from the start. He went out there and did it. Now, whether or not his body can get him through a deep 7-game series is going to be the big question. But if he can, the Rockets are a legit
You
threat.
think they're the toughest opponent still when they're all healthy?
Because I don't think the Blazers can do it in 7 games. Until the Nuggets win, we really don't know. But the Rockets know. Thunder, yeah, maybe. But the thing is, the Rockets last year, until Chris Paul popped his hamstring, I think they were going to knock off the Warriors. So they know they can do it, but health is the big thing. But Chris Paul, when he's like that, he is still easily one of the top point guards in the game.
Yeah.
Saturday night was a lot of fun. To see the Rockets play like that and to play defense on every single possession, it looked like the Western Conference Finals at times, the way they really got up into the Warriors and wanted this thing, especially in those earned jerseys, those dark reds. I think those are so pretty.
You like those, huh?
Yeah, they're nice and bold. It didn't seem like a Rockets team that didn't have James Harden. It looked like their full roster out there. They wanted it more than the Warriors. They beat them 3 times, which is very odd to see. I found it interesting that the Rockets were kind of going at DeMarcus Cousins a little bit. So now the Cousins stories are starting to churn up. He's not finishing games. He was a game worst minus 17 in this game because they were going at the pick and roll situation. They were seeing him and they were going right at him. I'm just bringing that up because it seems to be a talking point that they're going right at him. But the Warriors weren't ready to play this game. Not to take anything away from the Rockets, but they absolutely were not.
I like that the Rockets after this game, though, are like saying all the right things. Like Chris Paul saying, our regular season success here, taking all 3 games so far, means nothing. Clint Capella saying, I'm not going to do what I did last year and say we're the better team. We're not. This is the regular season here. Mike D'Antoni, same thing. Everybody reiterating this. This is smart. Don't give them any bulletin board material.
Chris Paul's been there so close in the playoffs before. And something's gone wrong, whether or not they've blown it or he's got injured. So he knows these things don't count for anything. You've got to close the team out.
And the video of him doing plank work in the hallways of the Oracle after the game, it seemed to be planned a little bit in the hallways.
All right, Trey, our final headline.
You always got to be working on your core, Taz. While you guys are talking, I'm always flexing over here. Our final headline is from the New York Times. It says, the Knicks end an 18-game home skid, bringing joy to the Garden and Oscar.
Yeah, Samuel L. Jackson
A little
telling
Oscar
Spike
talk.
Lee, who won an Oscar last night, that the Knicks had snapped this, home losing streak. 18. They hadn't won since December 1st.
But Spike
at
wasn't
home.
happy.
No, he says we're trying to tank. Honestly, that doesn't matter though. If you look at the bottom of the worst teams in the league, this win for the Knicks, this finally snapping the losing streak in MSG. It doesn't matter at all. As long as you're in the final 3, the bottom 3, you're gonna have the same odds as the number 1 overall pick. And they are, and they're almost so far ahead / below like your Bulls and your Hawks. It's not really gonna matter. So I think the biggest point of this win last night from the Knicks, was that the Spurs lost. Like you said, I mean, they are struggling on this rodeo road trip that they usually do quite well on, and have now lost 5 of 6. They got one more game against Brooklyn tonight. By no means a gimme. They're suddenly, like we were talking about, they're right there with your Lakers and your Clippers and your Kings and all this. I mean, they could miss the playoffs here if you continue to lose some of these that you look at and go, well, that should be a gimme. Their defense is even worse than the Lakers over the last little bit.
They've been close, like the Raptors game on Friday night basically came down to that one possession. Again, this one, the Knicks did play well, but you sort of felt the Spurs were always going to get back into it. They weren't able to do it. But it's very unusual to see San Antonio struggle time and time again. They usually sort of have one or two of these games where they just shake it off and get a win. And that's what you expect tonight against Brooklyn. But the Nets, they're a better team than they used to be.
Are you guys telling me that LeBron and the Spurs might both miss the playoffs in the same
easy.
season?
Wow.
Easy.
Unbelievable.
No, I don't think so. But the Spurs do have a tougher remaining schedule than teams like the Clippers and the Kings.
At least they're at home for much of the rest of the schedule. Because as bad as they are on the road, they're 1-6 on the rodeo, or the rodeo, as you call it.
Rodeo, it's not my first rodeo.
They're great at home.
Yeah,
They're 22-7 at home. Only one team has fewer losses in the Western Conference at home. They're great at home.
All right, we got to take a break. When we come back, though, Jared Greenberg joins us live from New Orleans to update us on the latest Anthony Davis drama. And in the new Sixers uniforms, is that what they're wearing now? They're cool.
Jeans?
Yeah, you're going to start playing in jeans. I hate the guy that shows up at your run playing in jeans.
What is this, gym class?
The Starters is presented by Jack Daniel's Old No. 7 and Tennessee Honey.
Welcome back to the show. It is Game Night Monday here on NBA TV. Sixers, Pelicans, Mavs, Clippers. And who better to let us know what's happening on Game Night Monday than Game Night Greenberg? Yes! Oh, yeah. Everybody feeling it. How you doing, Jared?
I am doing phenomenal here in the capital of Mardi Gras right now. It is carnival season, and I'm ready to go.
Oh, yeah, you are in the heart of it. Any beads come your way?
Well, there's no parades today. I'm all ticked off. There's no more Monday parades anymore.
Wow. Well, it's good news for you. Also good news for basketball fans out there, because Anthony Davis is slated to play tonight, as you tweeted earlier. But he isn't playing every night. And last week, Danny Ferry said he's on a minutes restriction. So we know that you're plugged in. So let us know. What's going on with Anthony Davis, and how much is he going to play the rest of the season?
Well, I spoke to Alvin Gentry at length today about it. And his biggest thing that Coach Gentry stressed is that there's full transparency here between the organization and Anthony Davis. The organization's going to let Anthony Davis know what the game plan is at all times. They're going to try and work together, but ultimately, it is the team that is going to make the decision on when he plays. Alvin Gentry said the most difficult thing is on back-to-backs, which is what they experienced on Saturday, which, let's call a spade, was a convenient excuse when they were playing the Lakers. Typically in this league, when superstars are not allowed to play on back-to-backs, they play the game at home and sit the game on the road. You'll recall on Friday night, the Pelicans played in Indiana, and Anthony Davis played, and then Saturday, he did not play against the Lakers, which I think worked out really well for the Pelicans organization, considering all that happened over the last 2 months or so.
Right, and I imagine those 2 months have been pretty tough if you're a New Orleans Pelicans fan. Your best player says, hey, I don't want to be here. He gets taken out of the video intro. He gets placed back. He's playing in back-to-backs at times. As a sort of a general sense from you, have they sort of soured on the franchise as a general perspective from a fan's point of view?
Yeah. You know, I think some of the hardcore fans are a little bit disappointed. I think that the move of firing Dell Demps, not that you want to see anybody ever get fired, but I think it signaled to the fans that, hey, that the ownership does care about this organization, because a lot was written down here in the local papers about ownership paying more attention to the Saints and how much of the Pelicans was their priority. And I think this signaled, okay, we're moving on, we're moving in a direction. So now this kind of makes sense with Danny Ferry coming in. I think him speaking, which we didn't hear very much from Dell Demps over the last several months, was a good sign for fans here recently. You know, I think that let's again call a spade a spade. This team was 25th in attendance before Anthony Davis demanded a trade, and they're 25th in attendance since Anthony Davis demanded a trade. So they've only had a handful of sellouts, one of them which was this past Saturday night. I'm curious to see what this building looks like tonight because, as I mentioned, there aren't any Mardi Gras parades going on, so there's no excuse for fans not to be in this building if they live in this city. And the Sixers are a darn good basketball team, so they came out for the Lakers. Will they come out for the Sixers? And so far this season, that formula has resulted in this being a pretty empty building.
Yeah, let's talk about that darn good basketball team. The Sixers have had many bright moments since acquiring Tobias Harris. But they have had a few hiccups, including their last game against Portland, and now Joel Embiid is injured. So how do you believe that they've fared since the trade, and is there any update on Joel Embiid's status?
Well, no, they're going to give it a week, which is still another couple of days before they make a decision on how much longer he's out. I mean, this is totally just a guess, but I'd be shocked if he came back at the week mark. I would imagine with a guy who's got a history of lower leg injuries, they're going to be conservative with him. What's interesting to me to watch here is not whether they win or lose, but how they're playing in those games, because that's going to tell us how they're finding success and how that may translate into the playoffs. Saturday, Jimmy Butler, who, especially with Embiid out, you would think would be their number one offensive option, only got 9 shots, 2 of those coming in the first 2 offensive possessions for Philadelphia. So he's a guy who's saying all the right things right now. We'll see how much longer Jimmy Butler is content not being the number one option, especially down the stretch in these games, especially when Joel Embiid's not playing. So the continuity and synergy of this offense without Embiid is going to be interesting. And then once you inject Embiid back into it, just like he was a couple of months back when he missed a couple of games and then they won, how does he do?
Thanks, Jared. Undoubtedly, you are our number one option.
When we come back, we got a brand new batch of weekend whoopsies. The NBA always delivering with the hoops and the bloops. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the starters. Time for some weekend whoopsies, the hoops and the bloops.
Leading off with some Trae Young magic. This was gorgeous on Bruce Brown here, just playing around through his own leg.
Whoa!
Just delaying it enough for Dwayne Dedmon to get into the lane.
Bruce has no idea.
Spin cycle.
Jack Armstrong has been the voice of the Raptors for 2 decades. Why? Because he's television gold.
For all you cool kids out there, I apologize. Dripping too hard, right, means you do have swag. So you want the Raptors to drip too hard, right? Is that what it's about? You're the man with swag. No, that ain't right. When you say drip too hard, you're bringing it, man. Is that right? Okay. I'm down.
That's it. Yes, you are.
Word up. Word up.
Lowry. His shot doesn't go. Green. Catch and shoot.
Dripping too hard, forget these layups.
Time ticking down in that game. Davis Bertans chucks one up, trying to get the lead. Kyle Lowry, a big rebound, but did he establish himself in bounds before grabbing that board? Let's check the replay. All of Canada, Jack with his coffee at 10 p.m. at night.
I think it was a tea. I believe it was a green tea or something like that.
Oh, yeah, all good.
Rapper Ja Rule had some problems with his halftime show during Saturday's Wolves-Bucks game. It was a little awkward.
Are we ready? I guess not.
I guess Ja's DJ not always on time. Giannis, though, coming out after the half. He was getting some shots up while Ja Rule was still performing. And then the Wolves took a shot at Ja in the old Fire Festival scam and all that. We too were hustled, scam, bamboozled, all that. Oh, Ja Rule did not like it. You won't win a championship for the next 30 years, and Cat is leaving. Makes his little bass guy.
The Bucks' Brook Lopez does Dario Saric dirty here. Dunks on him, hits him in the face, drops him to the ground. This was mean from Brook. And the stare down. Time to drop the mixtape.
Well, Brook got Dario in the face. Luckily for this one NBA official, Wizard center Thomas Bryant does not, but he gets awful close here to punching him. Whoa! As he celebrates. Shout out to Carlos Boozer.
Yeah.
He's in the exact same spot.
This Marcus Smart turnover, fantastic.
Ooh,
not a smart pass.
No, not at all.
The Bulls did beat the Celtics on Saturday. Robin Lopez going to work in the post.
Hook him.
Brad Stevens just as shocked as everybody else. We're losing to the Bulls. What? Saturday. Cousins accidentally steps on Draymond Green's heel there. Down goes Draymond, but look how long it takes for Steve Kerr to notice that Draymond is hurt. Still hasn't noticed.
Hey, that's my guy.
Yeah. Again. I mean, he's right in front of him. He's
Even
at
the
his feet.
timeout call is so minor. Get a quick one here.
Yeah, and then, okay, yeah. Timeout. Guess my guy's hurt.
Steph Curry tries to draw the foul, doesn't go his way, so he decides to talk to the referees. Jonas Jerebko tries to give him the ball. That's not working out.
No. That's strange. Great, keep playing.
Not the beautiful basketball we're used to from the Warriors.
On Sunday, the Knicks, they got the win. They snapped their home losing streak. But they also did some Knicks-like things early on. Yeah, Kevin Knox, Dennis Smith Jr. accidentally tipping the ball into their own net. Even Coach Fizdale laughing at it.
And we ended here with a classic shaft on the rim. Paul Millsap just can't get up.
I mean, the defense was there, but I don't think they got the ball.
Poor Paul, he's playing well.
He's playing well. He got woke boy. All right, when we come back, though, Lily hits us with a very solid play. I've heard this one's controversial. I've heard this one's controversial. Too sexy, maybe.
Oh.
It's Ric Flair's 70th birthday today. Woo! We asked you, who's the biggest NBA heel? You hit us up on Twitter, #TheStarters. Trey, you got some answers.
Yeah, some good answers. Austin says it's easily Chris Paul after that fake laugh. Very heelish. I also like, Udi says, the biggest heel, Bill Laimbeer, of course, a classic heel. Mig says, nothing says heel like a Tom Thibodeau evil laugh. We got a pun in here. Jason Max heel, obviously, but my favorite answer. Samuono says, Randy Savage?
Oh, yeah.
What you think, Tess?
Ooh, yeah, dig it!
All right, tonight's pick and play, Pacers Pistons. Woo, this is a big game for Lily there. It feels like you just did a pick and payoff.
I did, man, I did.
Could have another one coming up, but you got the Pacers, Tass has the Pacers, and Trey and I are taking Detroit at home. That one on League Pass. All right, VSP, controversial. Why?
Well, some say it's sexy, but it ends solid. Here it is. It's Nikola Jokic, so I know it's going to be a beautiful pass, but is this sexy or solid?
Whoa, that was
sexy.
But it doesn't finish there.
Okay.
It finishes with Paul Millsap with a beautiful three ball. That's what I call a very solid play.
With a little bit of sexy.
A little bit of sexy, yeah.
Sometimes sexy leads to solid.
Tomorrow, we got the Drop Podcast. Get your questions in right now. Email us, thestarters@nba.com. Tweet us, #thestarters, and we'll make it a classic. You can trust me. Book it. All right, we got some fan signs, Lee.
Yeah, we've got another serial signed sender-innerer. This is Josiah at the Miami Heat Denver Nuggets game on February 11th. This is his 5th time on the show.
That's some good artwork.
We haven't seen Master Chief for a while, so maybe there's a new
That's a
racing
good sign.
sound.
He's
It's a
putting
very,
in the work.
very good sign. Very colourful sign there. This is Francis and friends. They came all the way from Montreal to Toronto for a basketball game. Incredible effort that.
Okay, let's not go crazy. It's not that far. Bro, take the train.
Bro, do you know what sarcasm is or not, bro?
okay,
Come on.
I don't know.
Now, this is actually travelling a long way. These guys came from the UK.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, right. Well, sarcasm,
take
it's
a train
joke,
from the
man.
UK
It's a
all the
joke.
way.
Can you understand what a joke is?
With you? No, I can't half the time. Honestly.
All right, you've got a cool haircut. Another joke.
We'll see you guys
Got
tomorrow
him.
night.
These guys are traveling all the way to see Raw
We're going
tonight.
to fight you at wrestling.